Welcome to another episode of Contractor's Bible. I'm your host, Alex Berg. Today, we've got a guest for you that I've gotten to know through our talks at the National Demolition Association conventions. He's built one of the fastest growing demolition companies in the country. I'd like to welcome James Milburn, founder and managing director of Milburn Demolition, to the show. James, thanks for taking the time out of your day to be with us today. I know you're a busy man these days, so thank you very much for making some time.
Anytime. Happy to be here.
James fell in love with the demo industry while attending Purdue University and getting his degree in construction management. After holding positions with a few different companies, James decided to give it a go for himself in 2014. Fast forward 6 years, and Milburn Demolition is one of the premier demolition contractors in the Chicagoland area. James is also actively involved in the National Demolition Association, currently serving as secretary. He will take over as president of the association in 2023 and serve a 2-year term. So again, James, thanks for being on with me. So tell me, I want to get into the NDA stuff because I think that's important. I think it's one of those things, if you're a contractor, to get involved with an association, to learn from some of those other guys. So I want to know what drove you to demo. So you're in college, enjoying life as a Boilermaker. Construction management, I have my degree in construction engineering, so something similar, but why demo?
Great question. So when I was at Purdue doing my undergrad for construction management, like you mentioned, the NDA actually did I don't know if it was a sponsorship or they did some form of on-campus involvement directly with the construction management program. And as such, we formed a student chapter, and that was, I think, when I like my junior year or something like that. And I'm like, like demolition. That's, first of all, it sounds awesome, right? I'm thinking, get to blow shit up, right?
Yeah. Who doesn't like to tear things down?
Yeah. Well, and so I just like, I'm interested in that. I'll put in some time after school and go to these meetings once a month, very low commitment level. I went to the first convention that year in Vegas at the Mirage. There's been plenty of them there. And got to meet a bunch of the leadership because they were kind of like, these are the Purdue guys, the first student chapter we've had. And they're here to kind of, get internships. And so I got an internship first year out with a local company here in Chicago, who's now a competitor. It was a great experience. I learned a ton. I loved it. And I just ended up, deciding senior year, I'm like, why would I go into all these guys want to go, and I shouldn't say guys and girls, but all these people want to graduate and they're all saying, we're going to go work for Turner and Walsh and all these, big GCs. And I'm thinking, well, why do I want to compete with all of them for the same jobs? Like, why don't I just be the one guy that goes into demolition and choose what I want to do? And I already know I like it. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up taking a job with a traveling industrial demolition firm right out of college, and was doing that for 2-3 years, and I've never turned back. I loved it.
So I grew up in the demo business. When I went to college, I wanted to go. I did the construction engineering to get that construction background, and I wanted to get back into demo because I never wanted to stare at the same set of drawings for like a year. Yeah. You get into construction and it's this thing, it goes so slow to me. And with demo, it's like you're on a job and you're off the job, and the biggest job that you may ever do in the history of your company, you might be there for 6 to 8 months, maybe. And that's a massive, massive job. Some of the biggest demo contractors in the country are, you decommission a nuclear facility and you're there for a year, maybe 2 years. And that's it. But you put up a high rise and you're working for Turner and you're putting up a big building in downtown Chicago. You might be driving to the same job site for 5 years, looking at the same set of drawings for 5 years. I could never do that.
Yep. I'm with you. I always tell people it's a very creative form of contracting because we get to choose and kind of like every situation's a little bit different. So, well, yes, there's drawings. It's not just like a set production for everything, no matter what. It's everything's different. So we get to be creative And also it really is light on the paperwork. I mean, our paperwork is really our estimating and our safety documentation, and like disposal and labor tracking. But beyond that, we don't have like submittals. We don't have like all the other paper pushing to do like most other trades do. So
tell me one thing that I have found in general, demo guys. I think actually, what's something you guys do really well. You are on the cutting edge, and you're always pushing things forward. You've got new technology. You're forward on safety. What is some technology that you guys use for your estimating, your submittals that kind of helps keep things in line?
So we have a general like company-wide estimating template, and then we use an on-screen takeoff program, which spits it into an Excel format, which then we like copy and paste it in, so that everybody at least is starting with the same format and has a good way to keep things consistent, right? Because that's the key is while everything changes, like if this guy goes on vacation and I need to figure out what the hell he did on this thing, I got to be able to know how to read his estimate. So everyone's consistent in that way. Then we also just implemented this program called PlanGrid, which is a tablet-based application that's typically used by general contractors to track changes in RFIs and stuff, because it's the documents are evolving. You can mark on them, notate, attach pictures, and send it off. Well, we use it for pre-demolition. So when we do walkthroughs, we can have the plans uploaded to it. We can take pictures, video, notes, so that again, anybody can look back at this walkthrough file and be able to bid the job. Like it doesn't matter who did it and when. It could be a year old, and you could look at this file and be totally up to speed.
That's awesome.
So that's helped us out in the office quite a bit.
Yeah. So you guys are using technology. You're not rolling around to the job site with this, roll of paper. You've got everything right there, easy to go. It's all trackable. It's probably all uploaded to the cloud, so anybody can access it at any time.
Yep.
What's one piece of equipment that has really set you guys apart? Because I've seen, we talked about this before, that you guys have started doing some incredible things marketing wise, really showing some, what you guys do. I love your employee spotlights, the way you guys highlight your team. I think it's fantastic. But tell me some of the equipment that you guys use that maybe something that's newer. That I know you've got some demo robots. I know you got the vacuum systems. I know you've got a high reach with Volvo, and I know you got some of our equipment as well. But tell me something maybe I don't know that's newer for you guys that's making a difference.
Yeah. So, man, that's a tough one, because I love all this stuff. I would say anything that's got an alternative use that like you for the last 10 years you thought could only be done by hand, right? So that's why I always, when I get asked that technology and equipment question, I always go back to small, lightweight, interior equipment such as yours, right? So as you know, we have some of your machines. And the robots, the electric robots, with the different attachments. So like we have vacuum attachments, we have processors, shears, hammers, obviously, grapple buckets. I mean, so all that stuff, what it does for us is not only does it make it go faster, which saves us money and makes us either make more money or be able to bid things more aggressively.
Sure.
What it does is it saves backs. Like it saves our people. I mean, I'll go all day about like the most important part of our company is our people from the bottom up. And if any of them get hurt, it's just like, what's the point? And that, to me, those are the pieces of equipment that really get me excited. And Don as well. I mean, he gets excited about that stuff too. Anything to save a back, anything to save repetitive motions or pinch point injuries or anything like that is
absolutely
is really what we like.
It's a dangerous industry, right? It can be.
It can be. Yeah.
Safety is the number one thing. And I think that comes out with great leadership. I think the best companies that are out there have great leadership, and that's what they understand is that the people come first, right? And putting them in place to succeed and wake up every day and go home every day to their family, that is by far the most important thing. And the NDA has actually done a really great job in the past couple of years focusing on that, which is really nice. So
yeah,
it kind of takes me to my next question would be, what led you to join and get involved with the NDA as much as you are? Because you're on the path to becoming a prez. So what drew you to make that decision? Because with the NDA, they do it a little bit differently. It's a long process to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a hefty commitment, time-wise. For me, since college, I mean, I've been involved in it since college, right? So I never really haven't been involved in it, but I've always seen the value. And my opinion is like you get out of whatever you put into something is what you get out of it. And so associations, a lot of contractors are opposed to them because there's just a cost. They don't feel like there's a return on investment of the $2,000 or $5,000, whatever it is for a yearly membership. But they also don't go to any events. They don't participate in committees. They don't do anything else. So what you find is when you start to participate with these things, number one, you meet everybody. Every active demolition professional in the country I at least know of, or the bigger ones. I have contacts across the country that I can call anytime and say, hey, I'm running into this. Like, what would you do, or what have you experienced in the past, or so on and so forth. But I've never really seen it as an option. I've almost seen it as like a necessity to be successful, as part of, especially owning a business and running a business is you got to be associated with like-minded people, or you're trying to do it on your own. Why would you do that when there's these relatively cheap resources out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's the more people I'm talking to, the more I'm hearing that getting involved with the with the different associations, whether it's NDA or the Concrete Cutters Association,
mm-hmm.
or Associate General Contractors, whatever it is, having that network of like-minded people to bounce ideas off of has helped the leaders get better in their business, for sure.
I would agree completely.
So I want to jump back a little bit, right? So started your business back in 2014. That was my first year at the NDA. So you mentioned the Mirage. That was my first year as a paying member on my own. I had been going as a young kid, but paying member on my own with my own company, that was the first year. So that was kind of a big deal for me. But what drove you to decide to start your own company?
Yeah, I mean, I actually get that question a lot, and so it allows me to kind of think about it and come up with a better answer. Although it's the same answer every time. Basically, I worked for a company that was a great company, and I had no problems working there. I just kind of after 3, 4, 5 years, you start to figure out, okay, this is a small family-owned company, and there's only so much upward mobility within the company, and I don't blame them for that. And that's just is what it is, right? It's dollars and business planning. And so I came to kind of a point where I had 2 young kids, a wife. We had just moved to a house in the suburbs. And I'm like, and I talked to my wife. I said, Jesse, I think I got to make a change here. And the way I look at it is I have 2 options. I go work for an international consulting firm. In specific to demolition, which I had a few contacts, through the NDA and through other avenues, or I start my own business. I go the pros and cons, right? So the pros and cons. Pro of working for the engineering firm is there's no risk for me. Con is I'd be traveling 65%, so I'd be gone, quite a bit of time every month. 2 young kids, that's tough. Yeah, and the wife wasn't really excited about that. She didn't say no. It just was like, oh, let's not, if we got to, we can make it work, but not ideal. And I also that one was also more like, that's not what I'm interested in doing. Yeah. I don't really want to be gone. I don't do well traveling. I do well on short trips every now and then. I know you probably travel quite a bit. I just don't. My brain doesn't stay organized that well when I travel, so it affects me quite a bit, and maybe just because I'm not used to it. But the other option was opening my own business, which obviously comes with a ton of risk. But the benefit is I get to stay home. I get to try and build something at home, and stay in my kind of network, so to speak. And so that's what, after a lot of thinking and a lot of talking, and that's what I decided to pursue. Look how far you've come in 6 years.
it truly is remarkable, honestly. What you've done and what you've built, you should be really proud of. You've got a great team around you. What I would want to know is how did you put all this stuff together, right? 6 years in, and you've got over 100 employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least there's over 100 different snapshots and profiles of people that are on your website, right? So it takes a lot of work, and it takes really great leadership to do that. So how did you piece it together? Did you have a board of directors and people that were guiding you? Did was it the NDA contacts that kind of helped guide you along? What really made the big difference for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a combination of all that. So when I started, I partnered up with my parents. So I presented them a business plan. I said, here's all the money that I got to my name and all the money I can pull out of my house and everything I can do. And I think it's going to get me this far. So there's going to be a point where I'm going to need more cash. And there's two ways I could do that. I could bring in some partners and then double down on like a payroll-based loan that gets returned with interest added as soon as I get paid. And so I kind of did a combination of that. I self-funded for X amount of time. And then, based on projects, if I'd say, you know what, I got a project where I'm going to need $100,000 to cover payroll for the next month. Here's the payroll I'm spending. Here's what I need this week, and so on and so forth. And then hounding the customer to get paid quick, and then paying it back, and just cycling over and over and over again. And the way that I could do that efficiently and effectively was, for the first 4 months, I was the only employee, right? So I was the only full-time employee. So I didn't have to worry about covering anybody else's salaries. But I charged the same rates that everybody else charges, with full markup and full overhead. So I was able to make a little more money on the front end, given that I didn't have that overhead cost yet, that I knew I was going to have. And so then the second thing would be, after that got moving, I was doing everything to start. I was loading trucks, delivering tools, estimating, project managing, accounting, like you name it, I was trying to do everything. And it works for a little while, but eventually you have to say, okay, if I keep doing all this, I'm reducing the amount I can sell. I can't bid and sell any more work if I have to do all these other tasks. So eventually I said, okay, I am not a field manager. It's not what I'm good at. I can handle it. I know enough about the field. It's not like I've never been in the field, but just not my strong suit. So I knew Don for a long time, and we had talked. And one day I just called him. I said, Don, I think we should sit down. I think there's an opportunity here. Things are going well so far. We're moving quickly, and I think you'd be a good fit. And we ended up talking, and he was way too expensive for me. But it was also, again, what was the cost of not getting him on board?
Yeah.
Or the potential cost there. The potential cost would have been, come June 1st, I would have been screwed. Like I wouldn't have been able to just handle everything, and I would have had to halt all estimating and sales to focus on the field. And then we'd be in like a cycle like that, which is something which would have significantly slowed our growth. So, so that was it. That's how, Don was the first the big partnership that developed there. He started as just a valued, upper end employee. And then, just this year, first of the year, he's officially a partner now. So he's worked his ass off for 20 something years in the demolition industry, and it paid off. So we're working well together.
Question. This is, do you have something in place where other people can become a partner in your firm as well? Have you, because I've seen some people do that in their businesses. Do you have something like that in place for some other people as well?
Not yet. I mean, we're basically just like, we've never had a normal here because we've been growing quite fast every year.
Sure.
So there's really no established normal for us. So until we get an established normal, opening the door to that is just a very complex discussion that I just haven't even had time to think about. I mean, am I opposed to it? No, I'm not opposed to it at all. If people earn a share, they earn a share. I mean, we're all about growth and putting our people first. And so as long as they're happy, they're making the amount of money they need to make, and they're feeling successful, and they're happy working here, and they have fun. I haven't even had anybody ask. It's just like, as long as they're getting paid enough and they enjoy it, and get treated well or feel like they do, then we're good.
Right.
But it's not opposed to it. Just
I think people join companies and they leave companies because of leadership. I'm a true believer in that for sure. So I think that's something that you guys do really well. Absolutely, from top to bottom. You and Don for sure. I think you guys do that really well, which I've always admired about you guys. So
I appreciate that.
We're the timer has already gone off. So I want to. I told you this was going to go really quickly, and I could spend hours talking about this kind of stuff. But I want to ask you one last question. And typically, I'm talking to people that have been in the business for 30, 35 years, right? You and I have not been in the business for 30, 35 years. But if you could give yourself some advice the day that you decided, hey, I'm going to start this business, what would you tell yourself? Maybe it's something that, like I've heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know. Right. So maybe it's something, legal questions or insurance questions or something that very business related that you wouldn't know. But what's something that you would tell yourself or give yourself some advice the day you started 6 years ago?
That you don't know what you don't know is a great one. Although I kind of did own that from the beginning. I kind of said, listen, this is not what I'm good at. I need to get somebody else to do it. Right. I think the biggest thing is that when you're growing, like when you're growing, and whether it's like growing like tons of revenue or just growing your services or whatever it might be, because growth to me doesn't just mean more money. There's all different forms of growth, which that's one of our focuses here is constantly growing. That doesn't mean constantly making or driving revenues up. I mean, that's happened, but that's not the whole point for us. The growth is like focus on growth, meaning focus on getting better.
Yeah, you could be getting better with your processes, how you estimate, being more efficient.
Exactly.
Safer, right?
Yeah. So you do $10 million in revenue at 10%. What if you did it at 15%? Like what? Why do more? Why sell more if you can just make more doing the same amount, right? If you can be more efficient, safer, all these things. So that's hard for me because I love the sales process. And so I'm always about like, we got to get this one. We got to go after this job. We got to go after that, blah, blah, blah. And I still today have a very hard time pulling back on the throttle. And I think if I had to help myself, I'd probably focus a little more on being more productive and going after the right work as opposed to just being excited about the opportunity of this job that you want, even though it may not be the best timing or the best fit or whatever it might be. So that's probably what I get. That's probably what I'd still tell myself today is to watch out for.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you making some time for me. I know you're busy. I know things are crazy for you guys because you're constantly, like you said, in that growth stage, not just revenue, but just becoming a better organization. So, I do appreciate you making some time for me today and coming on the show and sharing some of your knowledge. And I'm looking forward to hopefully doing this again sometime. Maybe next time we'll do it in person in New Orleans at the next convention. That'd be cool.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Appreciate your time.